Hello dear friends, welcome back to my channel, The Unstoppable Migrant. My name is Ima, and on this channel I share information that I consider relevant to everyone, but most especially to migrants and potential migrants that can keep you informed and motivated. If you are new here, then I say a big welcome. If you are coming back, then I am very pleased to have you back. Today, I am going to discuss some of the problems that migrants, especially those from third world or minority countries, face in their country of destination. I believe that we are all aware that settling down in a new environment can be a daunting experience for everyone, and most especially if you are leaving your country to another country that is completely different from yours in terms of culture and values. It is important to note that not all migrants go through all of these problems that I'll mention here, but there is a high probability that every migrant will face one of these issues at one point in their migrant life. Hopefully at the end of this video, you must have gotten some information that could be helpful, if not to you, to someone else. If you are currently facing one of these problems, then I say to you, keep your head high, continue to work as hard as you can, and focus on the light at the end of the tunnel. You will most definitely see it, but you have to believe in yourself and in what you're doing, and do not give up hope for better days ahead, no matter how difficult it gets. Language barrier is one of the main issues that most migrants face. This is true especially for migrants who come from non-English speaking countries, considering that English is a universal language spoken or understood by citizens in almost all developed countries. Understanding the language of the host country is very important, as it not only facilitates integration, but it is also very vital in all facets of the human society, from education to job search to simply finding your way around. It is thus advisable to make an effort to understand the language of the host country. The best way to do this is either to enroll in a language school if you have the time and money, or to subscribe to language apps such as Babbel, Duolingo, just to name a few. You also have a vast library of information online or available on YouTube related to language courses. I urge you to take advantage of these free services available and make use of it in your free time. Another problem that migrants face is joblessness. This is particularly true for unskilled migrants who may have come in as asylum seekers with no particular skill to showcase. This can be worse for migrants who do not understand the language of the host country. Skilled migrants who have no affinity of the host country's language also end up jobless. I have a few migrant friends who have not been able to practice in their field of expertise in medicine and journalism anymore simply because of language incompetence, and they have ended up as stay-home moms, and some have taken up other career choices. In some countries, especially in Europe, the government makes an effort to offer services such as on-the-job training, language courses at very affordable rates, or even organize job fairs in order to assist migrants and in order to curb the level of joblessness in the country. In a situation where a migrant is jobless or unable to work in his or her field of expertise, the likelihood is to turn to odd jobs in order to survive. Not everybody, however, is lucky enough or willing to do odd jobs, and as such, they have to depend on the government for paychecks and food stamps, if at all there are any food stamps and paychecks. In a situation where there is no job, the migrant can end up homeless and thus rely on shelter for the homeless and welfare agencies for assistance. This usually leads some migrants into deep states of depression, suicide attempts, and eventually death in some cases. Family separation is another problem that migrants face on a daily basis. By family here, I refer to the nuclear family, where one of the parents has to go ahead with the kids, leaving behind the other parent with the hope that he or she will join them later on, which unfortunately does not happen. Situations like this may come up due to sudden changes in migration policies either before or after the relocation, which may not be in favor of the actual situation of the family. In some cases, due to financial constraints, some of the members of the family may relocate with the hope of reuniting with the other members later on. However, things end up differently due to sudden stringent migration policy changes in the host countries. In situations like this, families end up separated and it puts a lot of strain on the family members, especially in a situation where the kids are separated from the other siblings or from a parent. This also puts a burden on one of the parents to raise the kids. It is therefore important to gain as much information as possible prior to asking for a travel visa to your host country to ensure that you all travel as one unit. Abduction of kids and young adults is another problem that migrants face every day. Research shows that migrant kids and young adults are at risk of being abducted than citizens of the host country. This is because migrant kids are more vulnerable as they are not very aware of their new environment and as such may easily get lost or be lured by strangers. Migrant kids who are born in the host country are also easy targets simply because they are different, and as such, it is easy for traffickers to lure them. It is therefore really important for parents especially and other family members to be extra vigilant when the kids are concerned, especially when they are out in a new environment, when they are out in a park, or when there are strange and suspicious people around. Another problem faced by migrants, especially migrants from Africa and other minority countries, is racial discrimination, xenophobia, and prejudice. As migrants, we are racially profiled at every level, be it related to job search, education, integrating into the society, you name it. We are considered as intruders in the new environment, and as such, we become victims of xenophobia, systematic racism, open racism, closed racism, you name it, whether consciously or unconsciously. Of recent, we have all seen the rise of anti-Semitism all across the Western world, which seems to have extended to schools and is now very common among young people, especially on TikTok. This is a sad experience that migrants experience all across the world. Considering that we are bound to face these issues and considering that most of us migrants come from societies where values are centered around love, brotherhood, and kindness, we can try to use lessons from our upbringing to move past the hate and what I sometimes consider ignorance and show love and kindness and try to be exemplary figures, and gradually our actions and attitude will bring the change that is needed in the world, no matter how little it may be. Modern day slavery is unfortunately another problem that migrants face. Considering that some migrants may find themselves in desperate situations where they are willing to do anything to get their situations to a better level, they become victims of modern day slavery, where they work for long hours for little or no pay. This is a very common practice in Italy, where the unstoppable influx of African migrants to Italy has led to the rise of modern day slavery, as the government is not able to provide support for such migrants. Other examples of modern day slavery will be situations where migrants are lured by family members or friends to the family who already reside abroad with a promise of a better future, only to turn them into slaves as soon as they arrive, either to work at their homes as house helps or become part of the labor force in their businesses for little or no pay at all. Loneliness is another problem that most migrants face in the country of destination. This is especially true for migrants who travel alone or those coming from a more communal society who find themselves in a rather individualistic and materialistic society where time is money, visits are by appointment, and all people care about is themselves and how much money they make. It thus becomes difficult for the migrant to make friends or connect with others, and they end up lonely and alone. Some, however, eventually break the barrier of loneliness and figure out how to associate more with others according to the culture of the society. It is thus important to find activities that can keep you occupied so as to prevent you from being lonely. You can either join social groups online or in your neighborhood or in your school. You can also decide to take up a self-development activity to keep you busy, such as an online course, professional course, or a language course actually. Marital issues are also some of the problems that migrants face in their host countries, and these are usually due to the unexpected circumstances that they are met with, which end up in domestic abuse and child abuse. Domestic abuse could stem from financial stress and poverty due to loss of job or joblessness or alcoholism and drug addiction. Such issues sometimes end up in the separation or divorce of the partners or detention of the abuser and eventual separation of the family. Child abuse may also stem up from the stress encountered, especially as new parents, but also as experienced parents going through other forms of stress, which may end up causing the parents to abuse their kids. The kids could also be abused by external people who are either complete strangers or are friends of the family. Most often, due to the difficulties faced related to child upbringing and daycare charges in the West, kids are sometimes entrusted to so-called trustworthy friends of the family, some of whom end up abusing the child. It is thus very important for parents especially to be mindful of who they entrust their kids to. It is also important for marital partners who go through any form of domestic violence, whether mild or serious, to recognize the warning signs and seek help as soon as possible before things get out of hand. Another problem, and most probably one of the most common problems that migrants face, is culture shock. It is uncanny to think that things will be the same if one is moving from one culture to another. This is the belief that some migrants have, and when they arrive their country of destination, they are faced with culture shock on so many levels. For migrants coming from minority countries to more developed countries, this is especially difficult because they are used to living a community lifestyle, while in the West, it is more or less a materialistic and individualistic society. Migration can be an extremely stressful experience, as it can result to a feeling that the migrant may be losing their sense of belonging, their sense of culture, their language, and their way of life. They will therefore experience culture shock, and this can be quite challenging and confronting. And one of the best ways to deal with this problem is to look for and join an association or group belonging to people from back home who share the same values and cultures. You can also decide to decorate your home with cultural relics and artifacts from home, or cultural relics and artifacts purchased in your host country if available. That way, you can stay connected with your culture and still maintain your sense of belonging. Depression and mental health is also a very common problem faced by migrants, and this affects everyone notwithstanding. Depression does not only affect a particular race, a particular class, or a particular type of people. It cuts across all borders and can affect anyone. Sometimes we confuse signs of depression with stress, and men in particular are fond of numbing or ignoring depression signs. It is important to recognize warning signs of depression and take immediate action. The most common sign of depression will be sudden and gradual loss of interest in the things that you used to love doing, which you will very likely will eventually stop doing if necessary action is not taken. It is therefore very important to recognize early warning signs and seek help when the need arises before it is too late. Sometimes all it takes to set you back on track is to talk to someone you trust, someone who can truly listen to you and give you the necessary guide to get you back on track. Depression is a mental disorder and knows no boundary. So please be aware and be on the alert. I would like to conclude by saying that as migrants, we are bound to go through all sorts of experiences, some amazing and some very awful. No matter the experiences you go through, I pray that it does not define who you are or change you from being you. Try to keep your head up high, remain focused on achieving your dream, and eventually you will make it if you believe, if you trust, and if you are consistent in what you do. Remain strong and remember that no condition is permanent and change is constant. Change will eventually be yours through hard work, determination, and consistency. Remember, dear friend, that you are strong, you are beautiful, you are a unique child of God, and God has got you covered. So dear friends, we have come to the end of the video. I do hope that you had fun watching and you gathered some useful information. In the next series of videos, I will discuss each problem mentioned here more elaborately with an effort to provide more relevant information and possible solutions. If you liked this video and would like to watch more of such videos, then please like, share, and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified immediately a new video is uploaded. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.